our data, our likeness meaning voice, our videos, because I think that right now is feeding into these machine learning and AI systems. And I think the other thing is, if there are techies who are building these tools, if there is government entities, like we've said, Communication Authority, I think they need to take a whole look at how will they protect us as their employers when you're using this technology, because there are things we really can't stop or train people to look at. It's very hard to train someone to see something and say this is AI generated, unless you're someone who knows AI. It's always in the back of your mind. Then you can constantly be looking out for such kind of content. So I think it's for communities to do a whole lot of trainings. I see Communication Authority doing a lot of reach outs to train, to teach people to look at content, to question if a platform is asking for access to whatever microphones or the videos you post. You just have to think, maybe this content will be used to train machine learning and later on identify me. And then I think the other thing is the agencies like the Data Protection Office of the Data Protection Officer, I think that's the name. I think they can play a critical role in, like, the case of what happened with WorldCoin. So I think that case happened too late. I think the government intervened too late. And I think the government has to learn to intervene earlier. If you hear someone like WorldCoin is coming to Kenya, you have to ask WorldCoin, have you educated people? When someone is providing you their biometrics, have you explained, do they have a way to ask for their data to be deleted? So I think those are the things that government agencies need to really catch up. And it's the ones who are going, it's like what's happening in banking. It's very hard to stop fraud. So it's up to some entity who has control or some sort to kind of put some guidelines, not restrict, but put some guidelines on how these technologies are being used.
Well, as we are looking at that, you'll allow me now to go back. At the end of the day, we want communication to thrive, right? We want our communities to continue. We want our businesses to continue. Is that so? But now, how do you get to that person who doesn't speak the language? And now that's where we are looking at now having this new word that we are calling artificial intelligence, right? How do we use it to enhance education? How do we use it to enhance businesses? How do we use it to enhance each and every activity that we are doing? So now the question, now I go back to, now you've worked with the communities, right? So now some of the community-centric approaches. I know we were to have Vambo AI, but I think they're having a technical hit. They have not been able to log on. And maybe later on we can have the guys at the tech team just having us see the Vambo platform, and we just get to translate a few sentences. But now going back, when you're looking at the community, right? Moving from one region to the other, I'm pretty sure the dialect also changes, right? So now how do you account for biasness? How do you account for inclusivity? Because now if I go on the border of, you said when we have Ma, we have which one and which one and which one?
So like the Ma languages, I said it's diverse. I kid you not, the Maasai language is also in Tanzania. You know that. We all know there's Maasai from Tanzania and there's Maasai from Kenya. Yes, we have Rendiles who are who border Samburu and Borana, if you go to the northern Kenya. So the diversification and just being able to know the different dialects. Like if you go to Narok, the Ma language, the Maasai people, there are like 4 languages there. The Maasai that is spoken in Narok is different from the Maasai that is spoken in Kajiado. Did you know that? So that's how come, I mean, there are different dialects in these different places. So how do you address the bias, and how do you address that you are able to capture the Samburu people and between the Samburu and the Ma? Because the Maasai people also speak like the Samburu people, but the Samburu speak faster than the Maasai speaking people. I don't know if you understand. It's like if you listen to Kikuyu from a Kikuyu speaking from Nyeri, and a Kikuyu speaking from Kirinyaga, and a Kikuyu speaking from Kiambu. Those are three different dialects. They are totally different. So you find some people speaking faster, others speaking slower, others speaking with a heavy tongue. So that's what happens. Now that's what we're trying to capture, the different dialects, and being able to understand that, yes, there are different dialects, but also there could be a bias. You get me? There could be a bias because because of the availability of the data. So maybe the Samburu people would be like a bit cautious not to give out their data, or maybe the Maasai from Kajiado would be more cautious. So we would go with the people who are willing to give us data more, especially from the Masai Mara area. So then, how do we deal with this biasness? It's something that we are still grappling with, and it's something that we are still working on. It's a work in progress, but we look forward to having collaboration, people who are ready to give us data and who are able to collaborate with us. And in return, we acknowledge, we tell them, we acknowledge them in the write-up that, yes, this data set came from this person or this region. Yes.
So diversity. So for us, the Kiswahili language also had some challenges. The one that I always remember is the challenge with Sheng. How do you build a tool that understands a language that keeps evolving? That's very hard. And to tackle that, we decided to ignore Sheng. It was bad, but it was a thing because it's very hard. How do you, because if today a word means this, tomorrow it changes. So it becomes very hard to be able to build for something like Sheng. But the strategy we took was, we were very purposeful with the data collection. So as much as we did, let's say, sessions at Swahili Port Hub, but we had sessions within communities where the use of the Swahili language is affected by their mother tongue and all other things. And then being in 3 different countries, it was a whole lot of spending time in small communities, churches, meeting elders where they are. In Tanzania, for example, there are people who wanted to be taught English when you're doing a session around for the Swahili language. So, because they used to come and say, okay, what are we gaining? Yes. So they said, okay, me, I want to learn English. So you would spend 1 hour teaching English. Then after that, you do now contributions for the Swahili language. So this is to say that building these tools can be very time-consuming, capital-consuming. That's why for the Common Voice project, we take a community approach where communities decide to build those voices. Then Mozilla supports with the platform if there are questions around improving the platform for them. So for example, for Ask Swahili, we had to improve the Common Voice platform for someone to be able to identify themselves. If they're from Tanzania, which kind of Kiswahili they speak. Someone from Kenya, is it Kiamu? So you could be able to tag that to voice clips. But again, it doesn't go back to you as an individual, so no one can know it's you who is contributing. The other thing we have to remember is building AI is cool, yes, but building AI tools is expensive. Yes. That's some of the challenges we faced during when we're doing this work. And the thing is, we tried to incentivize the building of this thing. So they introduced grants, funding for people to try and build stuff. We're not really expecting fully grown solutions, but we had a team from Nairobi, from a group called Think. They build what is called an application programming interface for techies, app developers, to be able to do text-to-speech and speech-to-text. So you could give, the goal was you give it text in Kiswahili, then gives you back that audio, having read that those words that you've given it to it. So they were able to build an API around that, and they're still building, refining it. Then there's a friend of mine who was also a fellow
that has been able to be created. And now that brings about that aspect of multilingual AI, where we have, even if it's that platform that you're looking at, so they have the documentation. So like, let's say we've been able to document all the 47 languages that we have in Kenya. And now you're building an app where you want to connect, I'll even give the most basic one. Swahili Pot are building an app that is looking to match up the youth, and one, the jobs, two, the mentors, and they're taking into consideration the skills. So already the data set that they need is quite huge. And if you as a person was to be told, sit down and now start doing that, that's going to be a lot of work, right? But now if we have AI and it can take in all this, and it's able to now match up directly the skills this person with either the job or with a mentor, so that they are able to be mentored. So now when we look at multilingual AI, and I'll request the tech team, and for you who are here, if you are able to just go to vambo.ai, the tech team that is there, so please just have us go to vambo.ai, and you can see the platform where at vambo.ai, that they were one of the panelists that were supposed to be here, and they were to guide us through the platform. When you go to the platform itself, we have basic or a number of Kenyan languages, right? Where you can be able to go on there and be able to translate. Now I'm looking at now the opportunities for the businessmen, for the policymakers, for the entrepreneurs. You're able to build up a platform or an app, and then immediately as you're launching it, it is translated to the different languages of your target market. What would that mean to you? How would that benefit you? So just log on to the platform. I don't know if the tech team can be able to have us that for 5 minutes. This is just for 5 minutes, just log on to the platform. It's Vambo, V-A-M-B-O, vambo.ai. I don't know if the tech team is able to do that for us. And you who's here, just get to do that. So when you go there, you can see the number of languages that you're able to translate from. And you're able to give out a sample text, and it's going to be translated. So now, as you're doing that, Bright and Winnie, when we're looking at now developing solutions that can work across many languages. And now we have the context of Kenya and Africa, where we're looking at over 2,000 languages. Is this a dream, or can we make it work with AI? Can we make it work? Or it's a dream?
I don't think it's a dream. AI is an enabler. Friends, AI is an enabler. So AI is your friend. Think of it as a machine friend. So it's not a dream, it's something that's doable, but as Brighton mentioned, it needs a lot of resources. AI needs a lot of resources to be able to get in. But also look at it as an opportunity for creating jobs for the young people. If you were to take, say 10 young people from Swahili Pot and take them to Samburu, and for them to be able to interact with the community in Samburu, as we are able to get the information or the data set about the Samburu language. Isn't that an opportunity for collaboration and also for creating a job for the young people? So it's also creating jobs for people, for the young people, because data will not be collected by the machines only. Data will be collected by you and I. So I guess AI, I look at it as an enabler, and I look at it as a place that creates opportunity for many, many people who are willing to learn and who are willing to be able to work along with the machines.
Yeah, I think Sam, it's difficult, but it's doable. I think for small languages that require preserving, I think it's very critical for us to be able to preserve those languages in any form. And I think the best approach would be communities who really want their languages to be preserved and used coming together to do that. Because for some big tech companies, they don't care about a small language, not even 1 million people use it, because it doesn't make investment sense to them, for them. So I think it's for communities, researchers, people working in preservations of languages and culture, to be able to come together. There are tools that can enable you to preserve languages. There are tools that you can use to get started. And right now, there's technology failed. Sorry.
AI needs human beings.
Yeah, so there is the concept around small language models. So with the limited resources, there's now a concept that is moving around called small language models, where you don't focus on large languages like English. So you can build small, so for example, there's a team called, forgotten the name, from South Africa, have built models that focus on specific things like
Lelapa AI?
Yes, Lelapa AI, who are focused on building specific things with the Swahili language. So you might not be able to cover so much, but the small areas where we can start focusing, and then maybe people will see investment opportunities there. But I think there is opportunities and need for small languages to be preserved.
I've seen we were being linked up to the team at Vambo AI. I don't know, Brian, can you hear us? Brian? Okay. If you can hear us, maybe you can just give us a very sneak preview of how Vambo works, if that is possible. And as we are looking to wind up and we are looking at Vambo AI just setting up, I don't know if we have a question from the audience, something that has you'd want for either Bright or Winnie to address. Any question? Okay, we have a question there. Maybe you can assist us with the mics.
Habari zenu.
Zuri sana.
My name is Dennis Kilinga, and my question is, are there AI initiatives that are looking to enhance maybe the sign language? I hope mmenielewa.
Yes. So, I don't know if you want to tackle that, but I met somebody this year who's working with the Kenya Sign Language. He goes by the name of Nelly Kavitsa, who has already started. He has an arm, he has created an arm, a robotic one that is able to just, once you do the sign language, it's able to translate that to word. So we can look at that and see. I know that is happening in Kenya. There's also another initiative, I think it's in Namibia or Zambia, where they're also doing that. So we have a few initiatives that are tackling that, and we can help you reach out to them.
Thanks,
if that's
Chris.
okay.
Are we able to take just a couple? Because I think there were like 3 or so that we do a
Yes,
batch.
it's okay.
Excellent. Hi.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Fatuma, and to the question on sign language, I have a friend of mine who actually has a solution. It's an AI avatar, an app that does live translation from sign language to sound and text, and vice versa. So it has a whole avatar. You just speak into the app or text it, and that avatar is directly translating live. And once the person speaks in sign language, they also take note and translate it to voice. It's called Signverse by Elisa Vatia.
Yeah,
And he's
the guy,
actually
yes,
20 something.
22.
Yes.
Yes, very young guy, doing very good work.
Good. There was another question here. Who had put up their hand? Where?
Here.
You. Hmm? Are you doing sign language to me, man? What are you saying? Yeah? Or you want to talk to the lady? She's available. She's available. I think there's a connection there. This man wants a personal connection.
Okay. Any other question or comment somewhere? Oh, yes, we have a few on this other side.
On that other side.
Yes. Really sorry for giving you such a complicated topic in the morning. I think next time we'll ask for it to be late in the afternoon.
That would be even worse because people will have eaten and understanding. Yeah.
Hi everyone. My name is Purity, and I have a question. We focus so much on the positive impact of AI on our lives. I would like to know if there are any negative impacts or the dangers of using AI that we should be aware of.
Yeah. I don't know whether there's any other on this side. I think we can tackle that.
Bright, you want to take that?
Yeah, there are so many dangers of using AI. No, I'm not going to scare people. So the biggest and one of the biggest issue with AI is the bias. So there are cases, for example, I'm hearing of hiring tools using AI. So there are cases where people have been trying to use AI tools to reduce the backlog of applying for jobs, but then it has backfired. Because again, we always have to remember AI is built by humans, humans who have their own faults, and then it's built by a specific type of people in a specific type of region of the world, where that comes with their own biasness. So you'll find tools like there's a big tech company that tried to do that, but it backfired because it realized that it was hiring men more than women. So you remember, even in the real world, there's that bias of women not getting jobs because of specific things. So that bias was transferred to that AI tool. So then again, there is the issue of discrimination. So there are cases where people have tried to use or automate things like issuing bank loans and all kind of things. It has backfired again because of issues of discrimination, color, gender, have transferred into the machines. So again, remember, AI is not manna from God that is perfect and all that. It's made by humans with data that was created by humans. And again, data is never right 100% of the time.
Wait, we say data never lies.
No, data can lie or data can be false. If you use a faulty thermometer or a faulty measuring tool, you've collected data, but is that data right? No. So there's a whole lot of things that you need to consider when looking at AI. It's mostly the data. How was it built? And have those biases in the real world been translated to machines? So those are things we need to worry about. Yeah.
I'm an optimist at a fault. I'm always seeing good in everyone. I always try to see good in everything that I come across. And you've challenged my thinking right now, and I'm thinking, yes, just like Brighton said, the machines can be faulty because they're made by human beings. Remember, AI is the machine trying to mimic the human being. So if the human being who is creating this machine is faulty, then we'll have biasness. So we have biasness, like even you find like how your social media life or footprint looks like. If your social media footprint looks like you're very flamboyant, but in real life you're not, then you'll find maybe Cooperative Bank or any other bank that is around here, Standard Chartered or Barclays, they will tailor-make a product kulingana na vile social media lifestyle yako iko. So if you're faking it till you make it, then you might get a product that is uka juu. But in reality, we are faking it till we make it. Sindio? So those are some of the biases that we can find or we can fault with AI. It's not going to be, machines are not perfect, and so are human beings. We are not perfect. But what we're trying to do with the machines, we're trying to enable or to make life easier. When I was learning about AI, when I was doing my small studies on AI, because I did journalism in AI, and I'm a journalist, by the way, by profession also, just to shout out to Ali Manzu. I learned something that if the machine will learn you. The machine is meant to help you, to enable you to do 1, 2, 3 things, to make you more efficient. That is what the machine is able to do. And the machine, our brains work at, is it at 20, 30% of our brains? But you can imagine if we get to a level where we push our brain further to maybe 50 to 60% of our brains working, how bigger, how better can we be as human beings, yeah? So, yes, the machine can be faulty, but at the same time, the machine is copying the human being.
Okay, so as we wind up, I don't know the tech team, Brian, if you're ready, you can just show us how Bumble works, and we can be able to just translate a few. But as we are doing that, I have just one more question, right? Because like we said, we have developers here, we have policymakers here. How long will it take for me to learn AI? So if I do a session in what, say 3 hours, does that warrant me to say I know AI?
You cannot really know in 3 hours, but I think in 3 hours you can do something meaningful. And also now there are tools that you can use to run machine learning models on your laptop. No, but you have to have a very good laptop, but in 3 hours you can do something.
You can do something.
Yeah.
Maybe you can give us some of the platforms so that we can give those ones who are here, at least they can go. We have been talking about AI for the last 1 hour, right? There's somebody maybe who has not interacted with them. The only way they have interacted with it is through ChatGPT, where now this one is them feeding, right? Not them building something. I don't know if you can give them one where whoever who's interested, they can go look at it and just get to see all this hype that is being done for AI. What are some of the platforms we can use?
Yeah, so Mozilla is working on a tool or a software thing that is called Llama file. So it means that from a single file, you can be able to run a whole number of models or build a number of models. So you can look at that. There's Olama that allows you to run your machine learning models coming from Facebook, from Google. You can run those machine learning, the models on your laptop using those kind of tools, yeah.
Okay, now I'm being told that Brian is ready. So Brian, from the tech team. Brian, you're on. Welcome.
So Brian, if you can hear us, just say hello first. We just want to ensure that we can hear you, to be nice. Brian, are you there?
He's
Left the meeting.
He's on mute?
No, he's even dropped.
Oh,
He just dropped off.
Yeah, we are
Sorry.
having technical issues.
I think AI has scared him. Just go on.
It's okay. So as we wind up, so maybe I'll just give you two minutes for each, right? As we're looking at AI and African languages, that is the context, right? So, oh, you have a question?
Hi.
Hey, sorry, Ali.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Grace. There's a question here. I know we have journalists here. Sindio? We have journalists, eh?
Yeah.
Let's try and infuse. Winnie, we've had a very difficult conversation in the newsroom whenever we have our editorial meetings regarding AI, the use of AI in newsroom. So far, it's a no-no because of the policies. You've been in that WhatsApp group and you've seen how editors are reacting. One of our editors back at work is like, no, there's no human face to this. You are a journalist, you're supposed to go out, pick the assignment, come back, put up the assignment on air or radio or whatever. So how do we harness AI, putting in mind we are being led by, journalistic ethics. How do we harness these two so that there are no challenges here? Because AI is growing, sindio? Yeah. AI inakuwa kwa kasi sana, kiasi cha kwamba kuna wanahabari nje wanatumia AI kuandika stories zao. That's a fact. The New York Timers, whatever, wanaendelea. How do we harness this so that we don't have any problem, and in future, I'm not worried about my trade ati kupotea tu hivyo. Thank you.
Okay, I will tell you for a fact. The early adopters of AI will reap from, is it the $5 billion industry of AI? So you better position yourself with AI, my friends. You better learn these tools. The earlier, the better. If you do not learn them, wewe na job yako, mutaona nje. And it's si uongo, ni ukweli. So, if you're in the newsroom, and I was about, when Grace asked about tools, I was a bit shy and timid. I was like, should I say these tools? If you go to Journalism AI, just tap Journalism AI, there's a course there, and it's open. You can be able to learn from Journalism AI, and also investigative journalism. Also, they have courses on AI. At Africa Gen AI Lab, we have master classes you can join on AI. So, AI is there. You can learn these tools. They are different tools. Coming to your question, Manzu. AI is being plugged in everything, even in your emails. But you know what? Sadly, let me tell you, the conversations amongst journalists and the big editors, they are saying, you have to reveal that I used AI. But I find it ridiculous when you're saying a journalist has to declare that they used AI in telling their stories, yet AI is plugged even in your Gmail account. It's ridiculous. But they ask that you must reveal that, or you must say that this is AI enabled. But I find that is a ridiculous thing. But anyway, you follow what they are saying, but please learn the tools. I wish I can have a session on that. I would be happy after this session, we can see each other behind the tent, and I can share more on how we can be able to go above the AI tools. And if you learn the AI tools and become at least a master of 5 tools like this, you'll be more efficient and you'll be a better person in your workplace than anyone who's not learned or who is lagging behind AI. Thank you.
And maybe just to add as we are winding up, like she said, AI is being used across. Now, for me, I'm a high school teacher, and we are looking at AI in education. And now that is also coming in. And when we look at even advanced countries, let me use the US, for example. They're trying to find a way or reach. They're not losing the teachers, and now using AI as an enabler, as opposed to now AI coming and taking over. So ultimately now it goes to tech as we wind up. How do we use AI, preserve languages, ensure that we are accounting for biasness? And now just looking at, as we go forward as a people, as a country, as a continent, how do we take advantage of this new tool that we are calling AI, but as an enabler? 2 minutes.
Yeah, so I think the example of the newsroom is a very interesting example, because not in terms of the jobs going, but in terms of the newsroom has a lot of text. Yeah. I think a newsroom that has a lot of Kiswahili text can build their own small ChatGPT internally or externally for their customers to use. So you want to ask a very historical thing that happened in the past, you can plug in into all that text corpus that a newsroom has to pick out, not to generate, but to get something out of that, all that news text that has been put in public. So there's an opportunity for the newsrooms themselves to, they have the text, they own the text, they have the copyright and all that. So they can build their own tools within, even for the news anchors. How do you tie this story to something in the history or whatever. And also, again, please, when you're thinking of AI, don't think of big robots, things replacing people in the world, but look at all of the small bits, like building a small search engine in the newsroom to enable fast retrieval of something. So we're already using AI daily. It is just that the problem with tech is tech has a hype problem. So there's too much hype now in AI. When the investors see the returns are not there, they might go back to crypto or something. But you also, so please just focus on, in my small context, how can I use AI to improve the work I'm doing, to make it faster, not just to generate, but also you can, whatever you already have, what can you get out of that data that you already have to inform you for with other things. So to wind up, I think as different communities, we need to think of building our own small things that are using AI. It doesn't have to be very complex. Even the small data sets that we have, we can start building things, and then while it grows, adoption grows, it becomes better.
Yeah, and I totally agree. Newsrooms or even organizations that are using the local languages, and especially, we have many community radio stations, yeah? And those community radio stations, they can be able to create their own NLPs for the languages. If you have, I don't know, the famous, even if there's Blue Radio in the house or something, as in if you can be able to capture the local languages and be able to make them turn them into text, and then turn them into into maybe an app, that is an opportunity there. Manzu, you're sleeping on an opportunity. Use the Swahili, that rich Swahili you have, turn it into an app and create stories with it. Swahili to English, that is an opportunity. And I'm not only talking to Manzu peke yake, I'm talking to the many Manzus here in this auditorium today. And also I look at AI as an enabler, as making your work efficient. If you're working in the office, what kind of tools are you using? Is it using voice to text or text to voice tools? Are you using even the small simple tool like Grammarly? That's an AI tool, Grammarly, to correct your sentences. Are you using ChatGPT or Cloud to be able to create maybe, proposals that you can be able to send out if your boss is asking you to send a proposal, and you use AI to be able, creatively, not too much, but creatively, so that your turnaround for turnaround time for writing proposals is not 1 week. It's within 2 days, Yes, such things will make us more efficient and will make us better human beings, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So as we look at the Pwani we want, as we look at the Kenya we want, I am hoping in the small discussions that we've had here, you can be able to use AI to enhance whatever it is you're doing. I want to say a very, very big thank you to Winnie. She came all the way from Nairobi for this. Bright has been with us here in Mombasa, and we're looking forward to just having such more conversations and helping those ones who are working with AI just enhance what it is you're doing. Once again, thank you so much. My name is Gracie Rungu.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's appreciate our panelists. Tafadhali, makofi tafadhali. Well done. And just before you leave, you can leave the mic there. Just before you leave, we want you guys to take a nice picture. Kameramani. Uko wapi? Ama ako pale nakula. Oh, he's right here. He's right here. So kindly pose nicely for a nice picture. For a nice picture. There you go. Oh, hata mimi nikuje hapa. Yes. Please count so that I can smile well. Anyway, just go ahead.
I want to say, and I have bragging rights, this young man, I mentored him.
Wait, watch her. She was my student in school. Thank you so much. Let's go. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much for having cracked our minds with a lot of AI in the morning. Mambo ya asubuhi baba. AI. Thank you so much. How many of us got something? How many of us got something from the AI conversation at least? Yes. Beautiful. I can tell you, I think by next year time like this, when we are having another innovation week, it shall not be the same conversation because we shall have integrated AI so much into our lives. And just before I call my co-host, just to remind us, pale mnaona watu pale ambao wameenda kureview CV, wengine wanauliza maswali ya how do I do this in my workplaces when I'm applying, all those things. Remember, tent number 4 and 5 is reserved for that. Reviewing CVs, interview etiquette, job searching skills, mambo kama hayo. Sawa. So make sure you take advantage of that. And just before, once again, you say something, I want to appreciate one person who tweeted. And I said, I have gifts. And I have a name, Noni. I have a name. Hold my paper. I want to get the person. But now the sad part, on X, you don't even have a name, but I have your picture. So if you're there and you're called me8776618, me, where are you, me? Uko wapi? Me. And you have some dready, hivi, eh? Where are you, me? Ani wewe. Njoo hapa, me8776618. Makofi tafadhali. Sasa mi ni wawili ama ni moja? Mi ni nani? Wewe ni support. Wewe ndiye account. Na huyu ndiye alipiga. Sasa tutafanya aje hapa? No, this is where you come through, eh? Sasa this 100,000. Sasa nipatieni number. 100,000 is for you. Sasa nipatie number tafadhali. You will witness this. I said you tweet, you refused. Shauri yenu. Sasa nyinyi bado mnaangalia tu pale. Noni, yes. What is next as I give this money here?
Okay, the next topic is a very interesting topic. Vijana oye. Vijana oye. Vijana oye. This is ours. Hii ni yetu. These are topics that we would love to hear. These are things that we want to learn. These are things that are opening doors for us. So I'm actually excited to have you guys in this session. But before I introduce this session, I want to talk about the tent that is right here, the first tent on my right. Tafadhali tuangalie nyuma. It is very important. The first tent on my right, which will be on your left. Mnaiona? Mmeiona? That is the first aid tent. Kwa hivyo ukisikia hali ni mbaya, unasikia sijui vipi, unaweza kufika kwa ile tent. Sawa? Tuko sawa? Yeah, so we are ready to introduce this next segment.
Wamepata pesa yao.
Wamepata 100,000.
Wamepata pesa yao.
Sasa
please, can we encourage people to tweet again? The hashtag is what? Pwani Innovation Week PIW 2024. Tafadhali, ukisikia mambo AI, something that is touching you, share. You never know. We have a lot of gifts. Those of us have enjoyed the fast fruits. Angalia venye wamefurahi sasa. Watu walikuja hawana chochote, wanaenda sasa nyumbani na vitu. Angalieni. The first person to tweet in this next session. Wacha nisiseme, nyinyi angalieni tu. Alright, let's go on.
Okay, thank you, Moina. So the next segment, we are talking about digital pathways, empowering youth with open source technologies for global opportunities. Hapa tunaongea kuhusu mambo ya kidijitali, jinsi gani tunaweza kupata nafasi za kazi, fursa fulani katika mitandao. Kwa hivyo, I would love to invite the moderator of this session, who will be Nyambura Karaoke. Give it up for Nyambura Karaoke as she comes on stage. And as she comes in, analeta na muziki. Nyambura, unarudi, muziki inakuleta sasa. DJ, you ready? Nyambura is ready kuanguka nayo. Ama anakuja vipi? Anguka nayo. Okay, twende. DJ. Okay, haya, Nyambura Karaoke, karibu on stage. Maina atakufunza vile uta dance. Twende Maina. Give it up for Nyambura Karaoke as she comes on stage. Thank you so much, Karibu. As she's sitting down, I want to invite the partners of this segment. We have Apostolus Benny Sis from Tabia Organization. Karibu sana, Karibu. DJ. Here's another one. Karibu. You give us some move as you come in. Thank you. Give it up for Benny Sis. Next. Thank you. Next on stage is Adija Ali from Tanga Yetu Initiative. Tupatie ya Tanga moja, DJ. Karibu sana, Madam Adija. The next person to come on stage is Blessing Mwiti. Karibu Blessing. Where's Blessing? Blessing Mwiti? Blessing. Karibu Blessing Mwiti. And the last person, but definitely not the least, is Shamayal Karani from Infitech Girls. Karibu sana Shamayal. Tupatie, give us a few moves, man. Gen Z, tusichangushe. Thank you. Karibu sana. Have a seat right here. So, karibuni in this session. Karibu Nyambura.
Thank you very much. Hamjambo. DJ, I feel it's unfair. It's only the panelists who are told to anguka nayo. Now, because we're not able to, and everyone wamesikiza mambo ya AI, wamechanganishwa kichwa, tunaanza kuongea mambo ya open source, nasikia kichwa zitachanganishwa tena. I think everybody should stand up for 2 seconds and just show us how to anguka. Sindio? Kila mtu amke, we stretch a bit, please. Everyone. It can be any song. Finalists.
Yeah. When you drop it down low on the floor, yeah, that's what you prefer.
Come on.
Put your money where your mouth on.
Let's stretch. Hands up.
Set it, pick up. Set it, pick up.
Watu wasongi, wana wale. Ala.
You have it, pick up.
Yeah, ni chape.
Okay.
Ni shande.
Thank you. Tuongeze. Aya basi, lakini kuna wale pale hawasongi pale katikati, waamke kwanza ndio tufanye. Amkeni tafadhali. Tumesema tafadhali, please. Ile group iko pale katikati. Just for that group. Sivo. Chagueni wimbo. Yo. Aya, DJ, just 1 more second. So we can freshen up so we can have the next conversation, please. One last time.
Yeah, ni chape. Ni setie, ni shande. Goja mapigin, wakalale, anguka nayo, twende down, knees down, kwa carpet. Bad girl karili, nafanya na come, up, only.
Okay, thank you very much. So we are moving on to the next topic, and if you allow me to ongea English with a mix of Kiswahili. My name is Nyambura Karaoke. I work for the Global Development Incubator, which incubates ideas for social good. And one of the ideas that I work with under data and technology is the Global Opportunity Youth Network. Swahili Pot is our partner, and today we're here to talk about open source, open technologies, and how young people can be able to get economic opportunities for that. Now, I can see tunaambiwa kuna the first 3 tenths are about writing a CV, being able to apply for job interviews. Is it all of us who will be able to do that? Tutapata kazi si zote? Ndio ama lazima? Ndio? So some of us will not be employees. Most of us want to be employers. Who wants to be an employer? Yeah? So building our economy is about building businesses. And if every one of you here was able to hire 10 people, that would be fantastic. And so it's really good that we've come after the Mozilla Foundation conversation. Mozilla is an open source technology. The data sets they've talked about are open source, which means any one person here who took notes can be able to go right now, if you have that idea, and take that technology and build your idea on top of that, and be able to commercialize that idea and be able to move forward. So in front of you here is a set of very, very passionate people who work on open source technologies, democratizing access for young people to be able to build and innovate on their ideas. And today, if you get anything out of this conversation, is what is open source. Sivo, how many of us know what open source is? How many? No hands at all? Okay, so that will then begin my questions. To each of my panelists, welcome. I'll ask you to introduce yourself briefly and in your own words, describe what is open source. We'll start with you, Shami.
Hello, good morning. My name is Shamail Karani. I'm from Infitech Innovation. I am the co-founder as well as the operational director at Infitech Innovation. What we do is we solve a real-world problem using technology, and as well as we have a community where we empower women to bring tech sustainable ideas to reality to become innovators and women tech founders in Mombasa. Our goal is to have more women tech founders and more women innovators. So that's a brief description. From my own words, what open source is. Open source, it's a software that its source code is publicly available, and you can use it, modify it, customize it to however you want, and redistribute it all over. And it's done by use of collaboration globally. So yes.
Blessing.
Hey everyone, my name is Blessing Mwiti. I'm a developer, and currently I'm creating AI bots that can be integrated in WhatsApp, Telegram, Messenger, and they can also perform crude operations in systems, existing systems or new systems. In my own terms, open source is it's a project that can unify a community, and the source code can be used by everyone. It's actually free, so modules can be added on the source code, and it can create more things that are beautiful. Thanks.
Thank you. Apostolos?
Thank you very much. My name is Apostolos. I work for Tabia, and I'm the CTO and co-founder, and we build open source tools and open data for the job seekers. We're trying to solve the problem of unemployment in youth. We do that by, we're not creating new jobs, but we're trying to solve the so-called frictional unemployment, which is basically the imperfect information that employers and employees have about each other. To your question about what open source is basically software that you can use for free, you can modify it, you can distribute it, you can build upon it, and you can basically use it for whatever purposes you want. Now, I want to stress one thing, that with the AI, there is another concept that is introduced in open source, and that is the concept of open data and open weights. So it's today, the source code is not the only thing that matters. The data are equally important. And for big tech that is training AI models, the actual weights and how they were trained is equally important. So I think the definition of open source has changed recently in a way. Thank you.
Thank you. And Khadija?
Okay, my name is Khadija Abdullah Ali from Tanga. On my geospatial ward on open software. So I have been working with the drones and geospatial platforms. And what I see is open source. What is open source? For me, I see open source is a cake that wait to be decorated by innovators or any designer. It's something, in other words, in tech, it's like if you are innovators or if you are programmers, so you can use the source code to innovate and make something that's better for your purpose.
Thank you very much. So open source is source code that is available for anybody to download and use. It is data nowadays, like the data for AI that you want to build on to do your voice to text, text to voice. And it's also the weighting. But basically, open source, as Khadija has said in layman terms, is the cake waiting to be decorated. In my own terms, I normally say open source is like a road. Anybody can use the road. You understand where the road is going to, but few people are using that road to commercialize it, to be able to say, for example, sell goods on the road, transport their goods. It is something that is available for anybody to be able to use. Now, when many people think about open source, they think it's technology, like it's hardcore technology source code. So this one I'll ask Blessing, because you have a lot of experience in open source. How technical do you need to be to take advantage of open source? And are there any open source tools that right now nobody needs to know how to code to be able to use, that you know of?
Okay. You do not have to be so technical to use the open source code. I'll give an example as Odoo. Odoo, like everything is integrated. You only need to know how to install and activate the already coded modules. So technicality just low is needed.
Technicality is low. And so maybe you can give us a little bit about the open source tools that you've built yourself, contributed to, your experience on that, and what was the hardest thing about that?
Okay, one is a model that detects malaria cells on blood cells images. So like the trophocyte cells. So, the model is open source, it's from Zindi, and I contributed to the model, to the creation of it, the training and the validation. The other one is an M-Pesa using the Daraja API, how to can be integrated in codes like PHP and Kotlin, so it's complete. One just needs to get the code and adds maybe the pay bill number so that it can be personalized. And something to do with problems, maybe like time to maintain. You know, like you can be having some other stuff doing and then now you're told to maintain the code. So time management is something to think about.
Time management, thank you. So he mentioned an open source tool called Odo. As we are speaking today, we're going to be calling out some of the tools that you can look at later. Khadija, the geospace. For those of us who've seen the drone that was flying and fell here, it uses an understanding of this environment to be able to move from point to point. And Khadija, you've done a lot of consultancy and helping businesses to commercialize on that. Maybe you can speak about the tools available in open source from the maps and what you've seen being done in the ecosystem.
Okay. When we start 2016, there is a much number of software or open source platform that you can innovate to create a platform for processing drone images or any aerial images. But since now we have a lot of software like open maps, ODM, so me and my colleagues from the global, so we try to co-create the processing software that can enable any entrepreneurs who work on geospatial technologies can process the drones images or pictures, geospatial picture, with lower costs. This can enable small entrepreneurs as a young to do more business. Even myself, once I was working with the World Bank, so it's okay because World Bank has a lot of money, so they can pay for the, for the software. But when you start your own business, you can't afford to, to buy the license for the maybe emotion software that can enable you to process images and have a maps, and also to do analysis. But with this geospatial software, they produce a lot of numbers and job in the market of geospatial world. And currently, if you see these drones flying, there is a lot of cost around, running cost, but most of them we use open source. We just modifies and innovates based on our needs, and then we make business through that.
Thank you. So you take an existing technology that takes a lot of time to build. It takes a lot of cost to build. So the hard part has been done for you, and now you take it and you're able to create your own use case and then commercialize on that use case. That's what we are talking about. And you have an interesting story, Shamael, where you've done that. Please give them your story on how you were able to leverage open source to contribute, but also to commercialize on that.
So I'll start by sharing. I have explained what we do at Infitech. We identify problems that exist in our market and communities, and then we find how we can use technology as a tool to solve that problem. So as youth, we usually have these ideas, mind-blowing ideas, which we think are sustainable and all. And where we go wrong is we tend to start from scratch when building something. We tend to think like on the downer part of it. But with the existing technology, open source, and for example, AI that exists, you don't have to go crazy from starting something from scratch. So one of the problems that we identified is local businesses struggle to be digital and exist in a digitization way of mode, looking at how local businesses and startups fail for the first 5 years, and because of their competitors being online there and have these resourceful tools that they can use. But then when we researched and identified that the problem that they're actually facing is the costs on the existing tools that exist to manage their business, to go digital and all. So our solution was to come up with a system that can help them go digital as well as manage their businesses. So from renting web shops, from having HR, CRM and all. And we were looking to do that across any field of business, be it you're in manufacturing, service, education, and all. So we wanted to integrate everything in one system that is a SaaS, a software as a service, which is an ERP. But my team and I, we didn't start everything from scratch because it would have taken us a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of skills to be dedicated towards it and all. So we just went on to leverage into open source, look at the base. Open source is a foundation. Of course, it's not like we build upon it, we contributed, we looked at the open source that speaks to us, speaks to our solution, contributed part of it, and then once it was ready, we took it and customized it to Kenyan market. We included everything that speaks to the Kenyan market and ensure that when we take this out to the market, it's something that can be monetizable and something that the customers can buy from it. So as for now, we integrated a lot of stuff, including M-Pesa and all, and included features, the user friendliness. Also, when you take source code, it's not, as she said, it's not decorated and all, so it's just a foundation. So we actually included the UI and ensured user experience and everything is perfect. And then we went and tested to the market, and most of the businesses were really, really grateful for what we are coming to provide, especially on the renting of web shops and the accounting. And from there now we went to the business part of it. So once we have the technical part of it, we looked at how we can monetize it. So as long as from the open source you check on the license and you adhere to what is in there, you look on how now you can start monetizing it according to the guidelines and all, getting out to the market, which is also so very something that is not easy, trying to get into the markets, ensuring the pricing modules and everything. But it's something that we sat as a team in a collaboration way with mentors guiding us on how to do everything, those who are already in the markets and all. So yeah, I am happy to announce that the testing process, the beta test is done, and we are very soon to launch it, and we have already clients on the waiting list. As soon as we launch it, we have them on board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Infitech Solutions has an ERP, something that takes a lot of time to build, but because of the use of technology, to build on top their value proposition. So it's just like a business. You have a foundation that everybody has access to. The value proposition that she has talked about is localizing it, adding local payment solutions, and now she can be able to compete with other ERPs, say for example like Oracle, or some that are licensed, and be able to make herself unique. So we talk about open source and technologies as though it's just a commercial entity. But we have non-profits in this day and age. And in any business that we do, you are either tech-enabled or tech-first. And so Apostolos, Tabia is building solutions for the non-profit. Maybe you can talk about what opportunity you saw, and for you to be able to start thinking about building open source, and what you are solving for.
Okay, yes. So, we are building solutions in the space of the labor market, and out there are many solutions, commercial solutions. And what we realized is that for many organizations, even for countries, they're not able to pay for these solutions because they're very expensive. This is where we thought that there is a need for someone to come up with a solution that is free for these markets. Another thing that motivated us was that most of the commercial organizations are interested in mostly on the part of the labor market where we call them the so-called formal economy, which is basically good paying jobs and very well defined jobs. But nobody is actually looking at the so-called unseen economy, which is basically people that have never entered the labor market, and perhaps they want to enter the labor market. A very typical example are people, women taking care of their family, or people taking care of their relatives, or contributing to the communities. And a lot of people do not have an opportunity to enter the labor market because they don't know how to talk about and express their skills. And this is where we found an opportunity to address this problem by trying to make the unseen economy visible and help those people articulate their skills. And we try to combine both and bring out solutions which are free for anyone to use and build upon.
So thank you. So solutions that are free for any non-profit to be able to take and use. And Khadija, you spent time convincing organizations to use open source. Maybe you can speak a little bit to why are people hesitant to do it, if they are, and for those that do, why do they use it?
Okay, let us start for those who ignore sometimes to use the open source because of securities. Some afraid about security and also the quality of open source software sometimes. And for those who are willing to work on the open source, it's because it's affordable. It can create numbers of opportunities and also increase income of business. The good examples, if you work with emotions, it's closed source, you can pay almost 3,000 per year. So while you work with open source, you can pay less, like 300. So for a young business, can feel more comfortable to work with open source. Even it takes times to code sometimes, to develop new things, to learn every day, to make sure every update on the ecosystem of programmers and updates they get on time, but it's really affordable. You can work wherever you want, and also it's good because you have a network. Because almost open source developer, they have a network. They share ideas, they share experience, they share updates. So it's for those who use open source, they feel good to work because their colleagues always around there to support.
Thank you. And you've brought up a very important point. Behind every open source project is a community of developers who are contributing to that technology and making it better because they themselves are consuming that technology. And Blessing, you're one of those ones. Maybe you can speak to one of the communities that you are a part of in the open source world. Which community is that? How did you access it? And what benefits have you gotten from being part of an open source ecosystem as a software developer?
Currently, I have 3 communities. One is the Mozilla, the model for different languages. The other one is Zindi, and the other one is Odoo. What I've learned from these communities is that people are passionate about open source, and open source are actually secure. They're actually secured. There's nothing like security threat or anything. And I get to learn a lot from other developers, like my journey personally. I get to learn a lot. So community-wise, it's a really great place for everyone to join.
Thank you. I think back in the day when I was studying software engineering, my first day of programming, I thought we were going to be taught because I had come from the culture of being taught. And the lecturer walked in and said, write a program on Hello World, and he walked out. And that was the teaching style for technology. Nobody teaches you how to program. They rely on you being able to find how things work, understand how things work, and do that. So these open source communities, if you are a young person interested in knowing how to do software development, the bad news is nobody is going to teach you. The good news is you do a lot of learning from your peers, from your friends, and from people who are interested in the things you are interested about. So if you're interested in healthcare, if you have a solution for healthcare in your community, there's an open source solution for that. If you're interested in agriculture and you're looking to do Internet of Things, there's an open source community to that. And I'd like you, Shamay, to speak about that community and how you learn from each other, and how many people are currently in your organization, and how much growth have you seen from them, from being part of these networks?
Thank you so much for the question. So for the community, I'll talk of the women community that we have, where we empower them to bring their tech sustainable ideas to reality. We talk a lot about open source. But then for open source, yes, there is a low technicality, but again, there is parts where is high technicality. So we encourage them, even if they don't have like great skills to do the technicality. You can do documentation, you can contribute on the documentation, you can contribute on testing, fixing small bugs and all. So that is the community we are trying to build at Infitech community. And then as for us in the organization, when we started, we were currently, we were 3. And we focused on different parts of contributing. We also focused on dividing the workload to each one of us and see how we can do that. And the reason why we didn't have a larger community to do it is because we were using a tool, a model that is so new in the market. We are using a Python framework called FREP. And when we approached local developers or friends around us, they were not so familiar with it, and I took them like others were trying, and they were saying like it's not going like with the thing that they already know the languages, and yeah, so we struggled on our own, but then luckily we have added some to our team recently on the integrations, not on the source code itself, but integration of some APIs and all. So yeah, we are encouraging to also be open-minded to these other new tools and that are being brought, like the framework and all that, because this is where we have, as the previous panelists, they say, like hype. So if there's more hype and it's brought in, that means a lot of communities that are in there globally who want to contribute, who want to explore, who are bringing new ideas and bringing new things to the market, I mean the system and all. So you'll even have more unique proposition to go that way than to go to the old, maybe open source, which are things that are old-fashioned, I would say, and all that. So yeah, we are encouraging to build a community like that. And again, as he said, open source, there's nothing like security threats. Actually, it's the most secure because it's transparent, it's public, it's out there. You can see the bugs, you can fix it. Somewhere else, maybe with a greater experience, then you can see the bug and fix it and have it like it's known. Also where you store your data, the servers and all, that's now where it depends on the security, but the source code itself is secure.
Thank you. And yes, a lot of people think open source is not secure, but the fact that it's out there, it's open, it means it can be audited, and because it is constantly being updated by the developers who use it, it's one of the most secure platforms that you can use. Where you store it and how you apply it is where you then need to apply more security features to protect the data that goes through it. Now, Apostolos, in this group, you are actually building an open source community, and you've started with the tools, but then comes building this network and attracting developers. So maybe you can speak a little bit towards how that effort, what is Tabia doing around building communities, and then of course mention the hackathon. Thank you.
Right. So this is the most difficult part, actually, in open source. You can build your software, you can open source it, but in order to maintain it and to have a community adopt it, that is quite difficult. At Tabia, we just started our journey. We only open sourced our tools 2 weeks ago. So we've open sourced our main taxonomy application about a year ago, but the Gen AI conversational agent just a few weeks ago, and we also open sourced a natural language processing pipeline that extracts skills and occupations from job advertisements. Now, the first activity that we're doing to gain traction and attract young talent and gain their interest is organizing a hackathon here at Swahili Pot. This is the first one that we're doing. We have, I think, about 15 teams currently participating on that, and we're very excited to see what they will build. And hopefully some of those young developers, they might have an interest in giving something back and contributing actively to the code base. I think the challenge that everyone that builds open software has is that usually you need some team to some core team to contribute to build the software, and then you can build an ecosystem around it. but to get to the point where you are well known and everybody is like giving you stars on GitHub and you have like thousands of people using it, there is a long way to get there. And you need someone to fund it, right? So usually these core teams are being funded, and you need some kind of a structure around your project. It's not like that thousands of people contribute and everybody just puts something in there. There is a very well structured process, what gets in, what and how. And usually there is a core team, and these teams are funded. And I think this is one of the challenges that most initiatives in the open source face. On the other hand, just to say one more thing, everyone can start an open source project. You don't need to do much. You just need to write your code and make it available and slowly grow that. And the younger you are, the more easy it is to do it. So I urge anyone here, just to start their project, and you never know where it's going to be in a year or 10 years after now. Thanks.
Thank you, Apostolos. The younger you are, the what? The easier it is for you to be able to do it. So anybody can start an open source project. If you even have a community, like if you're in university, you're even better off because you already have that community of like-minded developers. But anybody can start it. But most importantly, anything that you can think of right now already has some base technology available for you to use. And as everybody is riding on artificial intelligence, things like what Mozilla have shared with us, everybody is asking to where is the data that I can train my AI. All those things are available. You only need to use your browser, search, and be curious.
By the way, you can go to Tabia at GitHub and you can see the source code, and perhaps you can see how a Gen AI tool works. We've open sourced that, so if you want to start with Gen AI, just go there and you can find the code.
Perfect. So I know we've been maybe a little bit technical. So for those who have businesses, and all you need is maybe a digital presence. Just having a nice looking website, and you've been wondering how to do that. Who in the audience, as we open up for questions, can give us one open source technology that allows businesses to go online without having to do any programming whatsoever? Anyone from the audience? Sorry? One? One? WordPress. Who knows of WordPress? I'm seeing very little hands. So if you're a business person at the moment, and I know each of us is building something, and you've been paying a young person a lot of money to build you a website, chances are they took a template from WordPress. And sorry, so I know the techies are telling me to keep quiet. But you do need somebody to maintain it for you, and you do need to know what are you paying for in the technologies that you choose from. If it is openly available, then the value addition of having somebody who is able to customize it for you, localize it for you, maintain it for you, keep your domain active is still very valuable. And so we'll open up for any questions from anyone, and then we'll end with a word of advice from our panelists. Any questions? Imeingia ikatoka hapa. No questions at all?
Thank you so much. I'm David Madenge. I work for Global Policy and Development. I've got two questions here. Question number one, what are some of the working tasks in an open source? Number two, how does an open public domain promote enhancements and collaboration and transparency. Thank you so much.
We didn't hear your first question.
Okay, my first question is, what are some of the working tasks in an open source? Number 2, how does an open public domain promote enhancement and collaboration and transparency? Thank you.
Okay, what are the working tasks? Was that the question?
Actually,
The first question.
yeah.
Blessing, do you want to answer that as a developer? What are the working tasks?
Okay. According to how I've understood your question is, working task in open source, it can be like as little as a module or an API that you can work on and then integrate in the open source. I hope that's what you meant.
Yes.
And I hope I have also answered your question.
Question number 2.
How does an open public domain enhance transparency? Yeah?
Yes, collaboration and transparency.
Okay, I'll ask you to do that because you've already built one.
If I get it clear, it's how open source enhance transparency, collaboration. Okay, so open source itself is already public. Any developer or even user, if you have some technical expertise, you can see it. So the source code is there. You can see bugs. If you are cybersecurity expert or something, you can also identify maybe viruses and all that because it's public and you can access it without any limitations. Collaboration, as we talked about, is open source is not built by one person. It's actually globally. So you can contribute to a model, you can contribute to fixing a bug and all that, and it's all there. You just download it. For example, if you're taking the open source from GitHub, you download it, you fix it, or you add a feature, and then you push it to GitHub, and then you wait it to be reviewed, pull request, wait it to be reviewed, and then if it's working perfectly from the team that had initiated the source code, they will integrate it. So the collaboration also is not like you can just add things. It has to be verified that it's something that it actually works and all that. So that way it promotes collaboration. And also for, once you contribute, you can be like seen there that you have contributed. And if you're not into entrepreneurship that much, because we focused a lot on entrepreneurship, just know big companies nowadays like Google and all that, they take their employees from actually those who have contributed to an open source or a project on GitHub. So once you're listed there like as a contributor, that's also one of the advantages. I hope I have answered the question though.
Right. Thank you.
So to the interesting point here, for those who don't have job experience but looking to get jobs in the tech sector, being able to demonstrate contribution to an open source repository is something you can have in your profile. Showing publicly your GitHub profiles, if your code is not private or proprietary, is also something that builds and helps you articulate your skill sets. Okay, any last questions? Yes, we have one at the corner.
So maybe as an entrepreneur, I'd be interested to come up with a website, and I'll maybe use the example that you've talked of, that is WordPress. That the hosting happen on WordPress, or after I developed the website, I'll separately host it on another domain. And if the hosting happens on another domain, do I get to also pay for the hosting? Probably.
That's a good question. And I know there's some developers here who commercialize on WordPress. Anybody who wants to? Part of what businesses do for entrepreneurs is to sell for you the consulting and training. So anybody with a business in tech who wants to answer that? Potential client? Here?
Hello, everyone. I'm George Mwangi, the CTO of Infitech Innovation. I'm here to support my partner. And according to the question you had asked, once a website is created from WordPress, you have to buy your own personalized domain name from maybe AWS, Amazon Web Services. And then you'll have to buy a hosting package. You might you might opt to buy it from AWS or also from other third-party vendors. So you'll have to migrate your WordPress there. And it's pretty secure because the developer should give you the credentials to the server so that whenever you want to access your code, you can see it. Si wakuambie tumeweka iko mahali. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you for that. And I just wanted to know that there's very many MSME software companies that help businesses to integrate these new open source technologies to their business. You do not pay for the source code, you pay for the security of where to host it. You're trained on how to keep the domain alive, and you can maintain them for annual maintenance. But your entry fee, the fee that you use to then access this technology, is much less than if you paid somebody to build a website for you from scratch. And with that, we're just going to have some closing remarks, just a few words of advice from everybody as we go around, starting from Khadija, and then we shall close. Thank you. And please watch the Tabia Hackathon. The finals will be on Thursday.
Okay, as a closing remark for youth, young people, you have to choose your network in tech. Wherever you like, you have to say, like, I love programming. So which languages you love? So then you can find your network. Then you can find expert through there. So it's easier for you to create a business and to create income through that business. It's not only about coding. It's how you can make income through that a business. Tech is a business, so let youth make a business.
Okay, my advice is to the techies. It's very easy to start an open source project. If you have a very small idea, it doesn't need to be big. You can just upload it and make it free. It doesn't even have to be software. It can be something like, let's say, a CV template. It can be anything. Anything that you give out for free is basically open source. And you start small and then you grow. You just need to begin with something.
Mine is on contributing open source. You can start as small as adding a semicolon in the README file, like maybe a typo or something like that, before you venture into the code itself. So it's actually not really hard to start contributing to the open source. Yeah.
For me, it will be generally on technology. I'd love for us young people and to change this mindset of seeing technology as a complex thing, something that is, you have to have a lot of expertise to venture in or to build something from it. Let's see it as a tool to solve problems, and technology out here that are now currently, you don't have to crack your head in doing something. There are a lot of stuff that you can take and monetize it and make it a business, or take and like for example non-profits and contribute to a good cause. And also technology is something very very important tool in solving problems. And let's look at community problems, market problems as an opportunity to something. So once you identify a problem that exists around you, just question yourself, how can I use technology to solve it? And once you identify how you can use it and you tell the market that this is the solution that I'm bringing, and they verify it and it is sustainable and all that, then go and ask yourself a question: what are the existing technology that I can use as foundation to match up my solution that I'm coming up with? What are some of the team or people who I can collaborate with to achieve it and all? So it's all about seeing it as a solution and having collaboration mindset rather than a competition mindset. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Collaboration mindset rather than a competition mindset. It's possible to all build on the same foundation, but have your value addition on top of that to differentiate you from your competitors. So I think my parting shot to you is, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, then go together. And collective intelligence in technology, being able to have systems that are talking to each other, interoperable, and do not lock your customers is the future. And thank you for listening to us. And we are available, Tabia especially, and Khadija from GOIN Tanga, for any further questions. Asanteni sana.
Thank you so much for that insightful topics. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, Vijana hoye, Vijana hoye. Have we learned today? Oh, so we're supposed to have a group photo. So, karibuni, we take a group photo and then we do the next thing in our program. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we are in the next part of our program. I'm sure it is a part that all of us will love. It is a part that we have all been waiting for. Mko tayari kujua ni gani? Are we ready to know what that part is? So we are in the segment where we go and take care of ourselves kidogo pale. You go talk to the vendors pale juu, you buy something to eat. So it is lunch time. But before we leave, let us all be back here at exactly 1:30 for the next part of the day. So we can all stand, tunde tukule lunch, and we'll be back here at 1:30. Kwaherini.